exploring your attachments, or some of your attachments. So I'm presuming you had a very deep and stimulating discussion over coffee. And so maybe just begin. Any questions on the last session? Anything coming up in your conversations? Anything not clear? Usually after the statement, I am attached because, will come a sense of dependency. Because when you're attached to something or someone, it means you're dependent on them. And usually, if you go a little deeper, it means that you're using the object of attachment to generate what you believe is happiness. What you believe is happiness. But that's a viral belief. Because, as you know, happiness is an inside job. Happiness doesn't come from outside in, it comes from inside out. But when we get attached, it's because we believe the person, the situation, the place, the memory is making me happy. But that's not authentic happiness. That has to come from inside. Yeah. Oh, you're going to do the English too, yeah, great, thank you.
I saw that you spoke about heart, and as far as I know, in philosophy is people of mind, intellect, sanskara, but the heart is not very well, so why probably is I don't know. And then how do you put together I, self, and heart in your so can you say what you mean for heart?
It's all the same. It's all the same, ultimately. No, feeling is something you do. Feeling is something you do, not something that happens to you. That's another bit of an challenge. We've grown up with the belief that feeling happens to you. But actually, feeling is something you do. But none of us know how to do feeling. If I ask you, do you create your own thoughts? Most people say yes. Yeah, I do thinking. I'm a thinker. Most people say that. But if I ask people, do you do feeling? What do you mean, do I do feeling? Do feeling? Do I do feelings? No. Most people, they get confused because we grow up believing that what we feel is coming from outside. That's why excitement gets mixed up with happiness. Excitement and happiness, they're confused. Excitement is stimulation from outside. We think it's happiness, but it's not, it's excitement. Whereas real happiness is a state of consciousness I choose to feel. But I've got to wake up to do that. That's why I said the very first night, the deepest happiness is feeling content in myself. Feeling, I feel very content right now. Right. And that's a natural internal action. Feeling, the action of feeling, and I can choose when I'm awake. Yeah. Not when I'm asleep. If you know what I mean. So, in essence, although we break it down, heart, mind, intellect, they're all consciousness. They're all within consciousness. And when you think, consciousness takes the form of mind. When you look at what you thought, your consciousness takes the form of intellect. So it's all the same, ultimately. It's all within, but not separate. Paradox. All these faculties of your consciousness are within your consciousness, but they're not separate. Why? Does not compute. You see? So that's why meditation, the more you meditate, the more you'll see that, the more you realize that. Any other questions? I'd like Could you repeat your question just in Italian? And then everyone knows what the question is.
Sì, la mia domanda era il tuo rapporto con Dio, visto che questa è l'energia più grande che ci sostiene. Cioè, qual è il tuo rapporto e come, in certo senso, senti che questa energia che c'è e che tu ci parli? Cioè, se non è, può essere magari un'illusione, ma un'idea, che è qualcosa che ti senti veramente presente.
Do you understand?
Fantastic. Magically, I understand this question.
Because you know it already.
Because I learned Italian during the coffee break. Amazing.
So you don't need translation?
No, I don't need translation. The most important thing that we try to share with you here, and I know Antonella's been with you in the mornings for your meditations, and I can say after 30 odd years of experience, the essential realization, always, who I am. And although you've heard us say it in many ways, in many words, during the course of the weekend, it's this: I am the being of spiritual energy, not the form. Soul, not body. Invisible, not visible. You cannot see me. You cannot see me. You see my body, but you do not see me. I cannot see you. I can't see you. But I can feel you. So we feel the energy of each other. You know, you feel someone's energy sometimes. Sometimes they can walk in the house. You know they're in the house. You can't see them. But you know the mood they're in. You can feel their energy, their presence. Sometimes they're in another building and you can feel their vibration. Animals are brilliant at doing this. Dogs especially. Yeah, they sense the vibration, totally invisible, of the being, not the form. So that's really the ground, the essence of what we're sharing with you. Now that means, as I keep saying, that consciousness is just radiant energy, invisible radiant energy. And sometimes you pick up the phone and it's a friend on the other side of the world. And you were just thinking about them 2 seconds ago. Have you ever had that experience? I was just thinking about you. And that means the energy of consciousness does not know time and distance. It's like in another dimension. And the scientists, they call this the quantum dimension, basically. And so it's another dimension. Time and distance doesn't exist in the spiritual universe of consciousness. So, that brings us to the question. We talk a lot about God, and how do we know, how do we feel God's presence? How do we feel God is present in our personal life? And the better question is, why don't I feel God's presence? Why don't I feel it? What's getting in the way? That's why I love this title, What's in the Way is the Way. Now let's look at nature for a moment. If you take nature, the natural world, every day the flower wakes up, and as the flower wakes up, it's very wise. As soon as the flower wakes up, where does the flower turn? It turns to the sun, instantly, without hesitation. It does not turn to the other flowers and say, have you checked your emails yet? It doesn't turn to the other flowers and say, I look prettier than you today. It doesn't do that. It does the most natural thing. And it turns to the sun. And the moment the sun touches it, it opens like this. It makes itself open and free. It's free to catch two things: light and warmth. Light and warmth. And it takes the energy of light and warmth and it transforms that energy into color, fragrance and form. Form of the flower, colors and the fragrance that it gives off. And we walk past the flower and we go, beautiful. Also beautiful. So where is it getting that from? It's getting it from the sun. The most natural thing. Now it's exactly the same for us at a spiritual level. It's a great metaphor. It's a great metaphor to understand. Because just as you are a being of consciousness, a being of spiritual light, so God, if you don't like the word God because it's a bit loaded, then the source, just like the source of all physical energy is out there in the sun. The source of all spiritual energy is in the spiritual sun, the source. Supreme, God, Allah, Ishwar, doesn't matter what you call it, ultimately it's just light. And here am I. Here am I, the soul that I am, the spiritual consciousness that I am. Here I am, wandering through my life. But I'm a bit lost. Why am I lost? Why am I lost? Because I've forgotten, number one, that this is what I am. And I actually believe that this is what I am. And in the morning I go to the bathroom, I look in the mirror, and I see this, and I think this is what I am. So I memorize this image, and I bring that image up in my mind. So I go away from the mirror, and I'm walking through the day, and I'm thinking, how do I look? I wonder if I look okay. I hope I look okay for everyone else. I hope I'm looking fine. I'm going to look better tonight. When I get the new dress, I'm going to look very good. I mean the new trousers, I'm going to look very good. So all my thoughts are emerging from this sense of identity. And then as I go through the day, I see my car, and I start thinking about my car. I like my car. My car's very shiny, my car's better than their car, but I'm going to get a new car. And so here, in this screen in my mind, I've got my car. And in this screen of my mind, I have my family, all my precious family, my wife, my children. They're going to be okay. I think they're so good. This is my family, not anyone else's family, it's my family. Yeah. And here's my job. Here's my job. This is what I do. On this screen of my mind, here's what I do. This is my job, and a very good job. And I'm very good at my job, and I hope we get a good appraisal. I hope we get good money with the job, and so on. Have you ever been to a supermarket where they have a bank of screens, of television screens? You ever seen a bank of television screens? And in all the screens they can play different pictures. And sometimes they can play one big picture on all the screens. So it's a great metaphor for your consciousness, because in your consciousness you can surround yourself with many screens, many images on the mind. So it's like I'm in the center and I'm surrounded by all these images, all these stories. Here's the story of my car, that's playing on that screen. There's the story of my family playing that. There's the story of my job. There's the story of my childhood. I had a horrible childhood. And there's the story of my money. And so I can play all these stories, and I go up here and I play in this story, and I go down here and I play in that story, and I'm up here in this story. And so I'm jumping around, thinking. And I'm just jumping around all my attachments. These are all the things I'm attached to. And as long as I'm busy in all of these screens, all of these mental forms, as long as I'm busy with my attachments, guess what? The light of the source cannot penetrate, can't get in. It's a bit like if I draw the curtains, now the sun can't get in. And then at night the light can't get out. Or if the windows are dirty, the light can't get in, the light can't go So I have to draw the curtains, and the light streams in, and we go, oh, beautiful sunshine. So, why am I not feeling this energy? Why am I not feeling the vibration, the pure vibration coming from the source? Because I'm busy with what's on my mind. I keep drawing the curtains around my consciousness with all my stories, the story of my history, the story of my relationship, the story of my car. All these little stories, little movies are running in my mind. And that's why you walk any spiritual path, not the BK path, any spiritual path. And if it's authentic, they will teach you how to be silent, how to be still. In other words, how to not think, how to see yourself outside of these stories, how to let go of your identities, because every story you give yourself another identity, which is not truly you. The truth is, I have no identity. Oh my God, no identity. I will lose my identity. I can't. No identity. I will lose my identity. No, the truth is, I've already lost my true sense of self 100 times, thousands of times every day. And as long as I lose myself or identify with what I'm not in all these stories, then I'm turned away. The flower has decided, I want to be friends with these flowers. The flowers, I want to get friendly with the grass. I want to hold on to the earth. I'm busy with the earth, the grass, the flowers. And the sun won't get it. The sunshine won't get it. This is why even in religion, even religious people, very religious, I believe in God. Hands up those here who believe in God. Who believes in God? Now you're looking at me very, very strangely. Yeah. You see? Now that's the problem. Because what's blocking your connection with God is the creation of your belief. So when you have a belief, you create a story. I believe in God. God's a bit like this, a bit like that. I'm sure he's a bit like this, and he does that, he says this, he does that. So I'm busy creating a story, a mental story about God. It's not wrong. It's just that's getting in the way. It doesn't help when next to that story, I've got the story of Mike George, Scottish writer, whatever. I've got that story running. And so they're blocking my ability to be open, to open my consciousness. To be open, I have to be free of all stories, all attachments, all grasping, wanting, give me. That's all kind of got to go. Then I'm like a flower, innocent, open. And how do I know God is present? I feel two things. Same as the flower. Warmth and light. Again, you've been in the presence of someone in your life, I'm sure, who you would say they're a very warm person. They're very warm-hearted. It's like a warm feeling you have with someone. It's because the energy coming off them is embracing. They're embracing. They're kind of holding you in their energy, and they're welcoming. So, you ever had that feeling? So you're feeling the warmth of that person. And so that's nothing compared to the warmth. It's like, I feel the warmth from an electric fire is nothing like the warmth that's coming from the sun. And so the warmth of another human being is very nice. There's nothing compared to the warmth that's coming from the source. Wow, the sun. And that warmth is what we call pure love. Pure love. If you keep opening yourself to that love, that pure energy, in my experience, it's a bit like if you take a sponge and it's full of ink. And so the ink is like, it's like polluting the sponge. If you hold the sponge under the tap, then the water will run through the sponge and it will take all the ink and all the it'll take it away naturally. It'll just purify the sponge. So if you hold yourself open under the sun, then the energy of the sun is as if it washes through your being. And it takes away all the impurities. In other words, you begin to realize, oh, I'm taking my happiness and my love from this person. I'm taking my happiness and my love from that car. Oh my God, I'm taking love from a car, or happiness from a car, from a job. And they all they just lose their... And there's a natural letting go, natural releasing. Not that I don't drive the car, it's just that I'm not attached to it anymore. I'm not taking from it anymore. Because this energy is telling me, wow, much bigger than that. So this is the warmth of pure love. And then the light of truth. As that energy washes through my being, it reawakens this deep sense, not intellectual, theoretical sense of who I am. It awakens this deep sense that, yes, I am chosen. This beautiful being on my journey. In matter, like the flower and the earth, the soul and the matter of the body. I'm just this beautiful soul on my journey. I actually realize, I feel that's true of me. And that's called self-realization. And once again, please don't believe a word I'm saying. You only know this when you experiment, when you experience. And so the light is what you might call the light of truth. So that when there is this realization of who I really am, which is no one, then there is enlightenment. I am enlightened. If you ask anyone, there's quite a few books on it now, who's had an enlightenment experience, the fundamental realization, I'm no one. Now, to us intellectually, that means, wow, that means no one. That means no meaning, that means no, the opposite. It's actually the opposite happens. You don't lose anything. You just lose your attachment to what is limited. It's limited. And you realize, I'm no one. That's okay. And it's the ultimate freedom. The ultimate freedom in consciousness. Now, I don't walk through passport control holding out my passport going, I'm not really anyone, it's not really me, it's not really me, I'm no one. I'm not doing that, I'm playing the game. I now play the game. And when I meet you at a party, I'm not going to say, oh hello, I'm no one. How are you today? Oh, you're consciousness. Oh, pleased to meet you. So the language we all speak at a physical level is called the international language of labels. That's the language we've all learned. It sits above Italian and German and English. It's the language of labels. What do you do? Where do you stay? Where are you from? And so we're constantly labeling ourselves and each other. And that's just the language we all share. So I go through passport control. British label. I'm British. They recognize British. We speak British. I speak British. And everybody's happy and comfortable. But I don't identify with British. Do you see the difference? In other words, you install the British, no problem. Install the British on your mind. It's okay. Whereas before, if the French came in the room, end of conversation. But no, I'm not. No, there's no such thing as British. British is just a label. It's just a label. And now I see it for what it is. And I don't identify myself with the label. I'm free. That's freedom. That's freedom. Then I watch the news, I watch the Americans, the Israelis, the Palestinians, and I just see they're all asleep. They're all fast asleep. He believes he's American, he believes he's Palestinian, he believes he's Israeli. No, it's just labels. Just labels. So they're asleep. And you begin to see the world in a very different way. And When you see it in a different way, you respond to it with a different energy. You don't get upset because you realize everybody is wearing different labels. In fact, everybody's in a costume wearing different labels, and we're all sharing the same stage. And on the stage, we're all taking part in one grand drama, one grand play, one grand production. Hollywood's got nothing on this. We're in it, and I'm acting in it, and I have a role in it. So now the second question from last night, what is my role? Here I am, playing my role. This is my role. This is the role I choose to play, to share. If I'm here next year, I'll share a little differently, because I'll be a bit more awake. The year after, I'll be a bit more awake. But ultimately, we're here to share what's going on in our own consciousness. And you can choose your context, you can choose how, you can choose where. But it's difficult because you might have to let go of where you are, what you're doing right now, to make those choices. But the true awareness is a spiritual being, wearing my costume, acting out with you in this grand drama. That's not even unique to the BKs. You'll find that now, that metaphor now, in many, many spiritual paths. So you have to sense, does that feel right to me? Does that feel accurate to me? Believe me, play with it, explore it. Does that work for me? Why is that not working for me? Interesting. It's good. Does that make sense? Yeah? In theory. Theory. Only you put it into practice. It's good. Anyone else? Anything else? Great. So now, everyone has a piece of paper. Piece of papier. Yes, sure. Then three questions. Question number one. Could I ask you to write down what have been the two most important insights, ahas, realizations? What have been the two most important ideas, insights, realizations, aha moments during this weekend? Replay the video on the screen of your mind. The whole weekend now is a movie in the archives of your consciousness. So just replay the sessions. It was Friday night, it was meditation on Saturday, the session, and extract what are the two main ideas, insights, realizations, aha moments from the weekend that you take